Ladies and gentlemen, this is why football is such an interesting sport and life in general. Marc Guehi deal has collapsed because of being or doing the right thing. Let that sink in. For doing the right thing, for not acting out, for not being a difference or being an ass, so to speak, he can't get a move. And as a Liverpool fan, of course, I'm disappointed, but I'm also looking at it holistically as it relates to life. If I'm not being an ass or being a whole egomaniac or being disruptive and I don't get my way, it means that I have to be that ass to get my way and it works out in the end. But if I just be chill, if I just stay steadfast, if I just, be nice and not outlandish or outspoken, I don't get what I want. And that is absolutely crazy. That's the world we live in. And what is funny is that Crystal Palace fans are pretty much, based on what I've seen on social media, are actually disappointed with the club. They actually made a video for him. They made a goodbye video for their captain. They showed the highlights and almost, getting emotional state. But what's funny is that he did the right thing. He showed class. And yet still, the incompetence of the club, Crystal Palace, of the CEO in Steve Parish. And I'm going to get into Oliver Glasner and what he did. But it's just absolutely crazy that just being a nice guy, you really do end up finishing last. That's mental. And then you wonder why persons like Alexander Isak, persons like Mbappe, persons like Coutinho, I could call, and when they get their way, they get the move. And it's up to them to make whatever their career decision is down the line, that's on them. But it's just where life is at. And I do feel for him. I mean, of course, we wanted him. I believe that this is probably going to be like a 6 months loan to Crystal Palace. I do expect Liverpool to go back in January for him. But I'm just looking at it to say how that you can do the right thing and still end up being last. And if any person in the comments, you can let me know if it goes according to the contract and the club. Then, ladies and gentlemen, things need to be reviewed and looked at intently and deeply into a contract, because I think this summer transfer window is going to show as to why maybe new contracts are in terms of the terms and conditions for contracts coming up in probably January or next year as to how a player leaves. Because if those terms are not met, then the contract is null and void. Pretty much. I think that is where football is going. So yes, it should be legally binding, of course, and you should abide by the contract because you signed with a club. But I think there are going to be terms and conditions that players are going to insert into that contract, or whether that be a clause, release clause, or whether that be a term where if the club does not allow a certain move, that they lose whatever the case may be. I think that's where football is going. And Alexander Isak, and particularly Marc Guehi, he has shown that it's going to come in. It's going to come to that. So yes, you are contracted to the club, but you're not supposed to be treated like cattle or a cow and be stamped or branded like with Nicholas Jackson for Chelsea. When Chelsea now suffered an injury to Dilap, sent Jackson to the under 21s to sign, and then they're like, "Oh, I need you back," and then cancel. No, it doesn't. No, you can't do that. I understand, but you can't do that. And if persons and if content creators come at me saying, "Oh, but if he got injured, it would be the club that would have to sign, would have to do his physio and do the doctor and do the surgery," but that's what you want him for. Am I wrong here? Isn't that what it is? So how can he ask to leave when he signed for 6 years and had 3 years left on his contract? I'm sorry. What is the likelihood of those clubs meeting the expectation of that player when he has pretty much done all he can? What's the likelihood of Crystal Palace right now making the Champions League? Not saying that they won't, but it's highly unlikely. And it's getting to that point where teams and players are going to clash. Clubs and players are going to clash, headbutt. Something has to be done. And that's the truth. Now, the reason why that deal didn't particularly happen is because of one person and one person only, and that's the coach in Oliver Glasner. In videos gone by, I stated that Glasner is a very good coach. I will stand by that and stand on that hill by myself. He is a very good, he's a damn good coach. And he has brought Crystal Palace a trophy that they have not won in how many years. He has won the what's it called? The Community Shield beating Liverpool, and now he's in the conference UEFA Conference League. And the fact that all of that has happened does not take away from what he has done today. It does not even an ounce chip across from that because he's still a damn good coach. But if your coach, and listen to me well, if your coach is stating that, hey, I lose my captain, if I lose my captain, I'm going to resign. That's crazy. That's the hypocrisy is crazy. The hypocrisy saying, I'm going to throw a tantrum because I didn't get my way, because I don't have a necessary replacement. I'm going to resign and hand in my resignation. And then you wonder why Alexander Isak is labeled the rat as to how Newcastle persons are. You see what I'm talking about? It is incompetence of Steve Parish and his boardroom and transfer boardroom to get a replacement. Igor was supposed to sign, Igor from Brighton was supposed to sign for Crystal Palace, but changed his mind and said that, you know what, I want to go West Ham instead. So what happened to, you knew the deal was happening in July. Why not just have the replacements on hand? Eze left and you got Pino. And now Guehi's about to leave, but you can't find a defender, a replacement defender for Guehi? Really? This is definitely a stab in the back. I believe strongly that this is a slap in the face to Marc Guehi. I'm not stating from a Liverpool perspective. I'm looking at it from the point of view of the player. This is a slap in the face to the captain for all he's done, for helping you win the FA Cup, for allowing the team to be defensively sound as best as possible. And then this is the thanks he gets for being good, for being a nice guy. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and probably I'm tripping. That's probably it. Probably I am the one that is tripping. Probably I'm looking at it from a Liverpool's perspective and not holistically. But you guys can let me know. Hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys. Peace.